Okay, so you've got an LLC. Maybe you're an investor, or either U.S. resident or non-resident. Maybe you're investing in property in real estate in the United States. So you set up an LLC, limited liability corporation, for a variety of reasons. Right? There's a lot of There's a lot of liability protection. So if you're concerned about getting sued from creditors or debtors or somebody coming after you, there's a lot of benefits to putting a piece of real estate into an LLC. There might be some tax advantages. There's a bunch of good reasons why a person might put a piece of real estate into an LLC. So basically, what that means is instead of I, Justin Stivers, owning 123 Main Street in my name individually, maybe the Red Rose LLC owns the property, and I own Red Rose LLC. Now, that works fine. That's great. And again, a lot of times, depending on the type of clients that we're working with, what their situation is, we might even say, hey, let's put some of the property, some of the real estate into the LLC. But where we see a lot of LLCs, or a lot of people just don't think about it, is what happens if you, as the owner, pass away, right? So what happens if you die? What happens to that LLC? Most of the time, what people do is they go set up an LLC because they're really simple to do. You go on in Florida. If you're in Florida, you go to sunbiz.com. You can set up an LLC. It costs under $200. Takes only a couple of minutes to do. You've got your LLC. When you purchase the real estate, you can just put it into the name of the real estate. Very simple. But most people don't put, because they're just buying the real estate in the name of the LLC, they don't actually they don't do an operating agreement or say what's going to happen if the owner passes away. So what happens is, the owner dies, and now their family or whoever their next of kin is has to go through probate in order to put that property into their estate, which, probably could have easily been avoided. So what we see, really, there's kind of two options that we might want to do here. Again, depending on your situation, you might do an operating agreement that says who can continue managing the LLC, who becomes the owner of the LLC if the primary person is to pass away. And so that might be an option, so that there's some sort of bylaws, operating agreement on the back end within the LLC itself that's going to say what happens. Another option is if we're doing a revocable trust for someone, if we're doing, a full estate plan for somebody and we're going to do a trust, we might assign or transfer the LLC into the trust so that the trust now owns the LLC. And there's a benefit to that, right? You're still getting the tax benefits from having the property in the LLC, if there are any available to you. You're still getting probable liability protection. But now you're getting the ability to transfer the property upon your passing, because your trust, if done correctly, is going to say who gets to manage the LLC, what happens to the property. Maybe you have to dissolve the LLC and sell the property, but at least whoever you've named as the trustee or the person who's in charge of doing that is going to have immediate access to do that because it's in the trust. And so there's some work, again, on the back end that we would have to do, but that's a great option. So if you've got an LLC, great. You might not, a lot of times people ask us, should I take it out of the LLC and just put it into the trust? It depends. Most of the times I tell people just leave it in the LLC. We really don't need to put it only in the trust, but that might be an option. But you just want to make sure that for the probate side of things, just to make sure that it transfers easily to your family or your next of kin or beneficiaries, whoever you want to leave it to, we might want to do an operating agreement or, again, assign the LLC to the trust. So just a couple things to think about. Double check, see how you have your LLC, and hope you guys found that useful.